I think that Roman's going to almost destroy Jay, but all of a sudden, out of the hospital, Jimmy Uso is going to come back and cause Roman to lose the title.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Wrestling Time Machine. I'm your host, Mac Davis, along with my two co-hosts each and every single week, WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long. Hey, Teddy.
Hey, what's going on, players? How y'all doing today?
Doing good, my friend.
Good.
And,
hey,
of course, our other co-host is none other than pro wrestling journalist, Mr. Bill Apter. Hey, Bill.
Hey, good to see you. Hey, Teddy, how did players come into your... Where did that come from?
I just started saying it. I had a Labrador Retriever dog, and his name was Boss. And what I used to do with him all the time, running around the house, he'd always get in the way. And I'd say, come on, player, get out the way, player. And that was before I even went to TV. So I just took it to TV and started saying it, and Vince liked it.
Wow.
That's cool. That's cool. Hey, look, I don't know if you guys have heard, but Jim Ross has said that he is tired of prostitution in pro wrestling. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about it. Jim Ross.
I was going to say I've never paid for it, but go ahead.
Jim Ross, good old JR, lashed out at people misusing the DDT. He says, quote, everybody can't use the DDT because they're just going to whore it out, prostitute it out. As you know, a transitional thing, meaningless. It has no pop. So I told somebody that one time, that not long ago, as a matter of fact, maybe 6 months ago in AEW, I said, you can't beat anybody with a DDT, or you haven't at least. And that's because you don't do it well. Or was that the reason? Because it's the same move, looks the same, everything is the same, and it used to be a killer, and everybody used to be in all of it. Now, talented guys like you can't even beat anybody with it. Explain that to me so I can explain it on television. End quote.
Well, who's he talking to?
He doesn't mention who he was talking to, but he's frustrated by the fact that things like a DDT or other finishers at one time are now being just used as a transitional move. I got to agree with him. I hate some of the stuff that they do. I hate that we have no true finishers in wrestling now.
No, it's terrible because, for example, like the figure four leg lock from Buddy Rogers to Ric Flair, that was always a submission move, and now everybody uses it, and wrestlers are able to get out of it. The same thing with the DDT. Jake Roberts was the DDT master, and when he did it, he pinned the guy, but not today. It's a transitional move.
Teddy, what are your thoughts on the problem with using a lot of moves now as just transitional and never really having a finisher anymore?
Well, I don't know. You know, I was never a wrestler, but, you know, I've been in this business a long time. My thing is with this, you know, I used to say this to a lot of guys too. Anytime you do something that somebody else has already done and already perfected, then you're not helping yourself, you're helping that person. And plus, they think about as soon as you do that move, oh God, he just hit Jake's move. That's the Jake, you know what I mean? So I've always tried to encourage the young talent to try to develop something that their own, come up with your own finish so that the people will know you about that. You know, they'll know that belongs to you and not anybody else. So, you know, guys that come up with their own stuff, you know, it's outstanding. But to copy somebody or to use something, I mean, I just don't know what it has any effect or not, you know. But if it's already been done and been perfected, then I wouldn't use it.
Back in the old days, I'm saying old days in the early 70s, when I'd go into the dressing rooms, wrestlers were creative. They were trying to come up with, you know, I'd see Bruno and other people talking to each other. Well, why don't we do something like this? And they'd invent new holds. I don't see that anymore. I really don't see any inventions of great finishing moves anymore.
Well, let me ask you.
That's because we're now relying on entertainment. Okay, our business has changed, and we're in the entertainment. We're Hollywood now. So we're just going to, you're going to have to deal with that.
Well, let me ask you, when it comes to a finisher right now, name a finisher that has not been kicked out of. That's a true finisher. Name one.
That has not been kicked out of.
I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think I'd have to think maybe Undertaker's finish. I don't think anybody ever kicked out of that.
Well, I think actually he's the tombstone, and I think Brock did kick out of his tombstone, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well,
but now that was at the end of his career at that point, so it made sense. But
I don't really think so. That was the end. I think that was when Taker got injured, and he gave it to Brock, because he was injured. I think that's when that first happened.
But outside of that, in today's wrestling, is there a finisher that can actually be called a finisher? Because the finisher at one time was very important in a wrestling match because you were leading to that finisher, and the opposition was trying to avoid that finisher.
The Boston Crab. Look at that. The wrestlers use that every night, and nobody gives up. They grab the rope.
And the other thing too, you gave people something to look forward to. When you gave that signal, that they knew what was coming and they were waiting on it.
Now, I think the last time that we saw anybody who really knew how to deliver a finisher was probably The Rock. Like you say, because you would know he'd get out there and he'd get his arms out, and boy, he was ready to go, and everybody knew, oh, here it comes. I miss those days because I think wrestling is much better when a finisher is a finisher and fans have a reason to wait to watch to see that finisher happen, and the opposition has to be in fear of that finisher.
It is there. I mean, Drew McIntyre with the Claymore, 99% of the time, that's his finisher.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that because I don't think I've ever seen really too many people kick out of that, but he does kick heads off really easy with that, so. All right, let's see. Seth Rollins trashed Dave Meltzer's rating system. That doesn't surprise me because I hear people trash Dave all the time about his rating system, but he did bring up a good point. For those of you who are not aware of Dave Meltzer, he's a Wrestling Observer. He's been around for years and years, and I'm surprised if you don't know who he is, but he does have a rating system of stars that he gives different matches, whether it's 1 star or 5 stars. And one thing that Seth said made a lot of sense to me. He said, quote, "He's great as a wrestling historian, but match ratings are silly. It's subjective. It means very little. Kurt Angle has no 5-star matches? Okay. Oh, one of the greatest of all time. And there's a plethora of other people." He's right. That 5-star rating system, if you haven't given Kurt Angle a 5-star in one of his matches, how legitimate could that star system be?
Well, it's a situation where it's Dave and his crew, like a Hollywood critic and whoever else works for that media company, giving their own opinions of stuff. But I cannot see how Kurt Angle, how any of his matches wouldn't have gotten 5 stars plus, in my opinion.
Bill, do you know what matches received 5 stars off the top of your head? Because I think the only ones were New Japan Pro Wrestling and maybe a couple in AEW. And I think that's why, like, Seth Rollins is like, dude, I don't get it. Yeah, I really don't. And I think he actually rated one of Seth Rollins matches very high with Cody Rhodes. I think that may have got 4 or 5 stars. But even Seth's like, this is just ridiculous. You can't judge a wrestling match by star ratings because everybody sees it differently.
Well, you can, but it's their opinion. Right?
All right, guys, we're going to take a second here. We're going to do a SummerSlam preview, talk about the different matches taking place at SummerSlam and get your thoughts on those matches and where you think the winner may be.
Love it.
All right, here we go. The very first match on the SummerSlam preview is Logan Paul versus Ricochet.
Logan Paul.
Logan Paul. Okay, well, Teddy, first, you said Logan Paul. Bill, get yours in before I say anything.
I'm going to say somehow it's going to be Logan Paul, but I think Ricochet is going to have that, oh my God, he's about to pin him. And by the way, just as an aside, because we all watch Raw and SmackDown, have you noticed that the referees are counting 1, 2, and the 3 is all but this much off the mat, and it looks like 3. And Teddy, with your expertise as a referee, it would be 1, 2. But these guys the current referees are putting their hand all the way down and then saying, no, it was only 2.
Well, I can't speak on it because I have no idea why they're doing that. I mean, the simple thing is 1, 2, 3. It's just that simple.
Yeah,
So,
and isn't it the rule is the talent needs to know when to kick out. The referee's job is to count 3, and if they don't kick out before 3, it's not on the referee if he hits that hand down the mat for the 3rd time. Is that correct?
Well, I was always told this: the referees have to be real careful. I've been in this position, Sometimes when you already know the finish, so when you start the counting and a guy ain't kicking out, you're scared to death because you don't want to count him out because you know that's not the finish because you think you're going to be blamed for it. But Vince said this: if a guy doesn't kick out, the referee does not stop. You continue to count. It's not on him; it's on the wrestler. So
correct.
Like I said, that's a really bad spot to be in because the referee's scared to death. He think he's going to get blamed for it, and it's just a bad situation.
That happened to you, didn't it, Teddy? You had a match where you counted 3. Who was that with?
That was with, I think it was in Hawaii. It was with Edge. It was with Test and Christian.
That's right. But there was a little bit more to that story than just you counting 3, too. There was...
then I had another one with X-Pac and Mick Foley. That happened.
What happens when you get to the back? You count 3 because that's what you're supposed to do. When you get to the back of the guys hot with you?
Well, they're going to blame you, you know what I mean? If you're the referee, you know what I mean? But how can they if they didn't kick out? So, it's like I said, it's just a tough spot to be in.
I can imagine you going to the back. Now, I'm thinking back to the 70s, when you were just a tiny fella. And you're running around the ring, and you got these huge behemoths in there, and you count 3, and you weren't supposed to. I think you'd be running out the building before they even got out of the ring.
Yeah, well, I didn't count. I never made no mistake. If I counted, the guy didn't kick out because I know I came up old school, the old school way, and so I know. So, if I counted somebody out, believe me, they didn't kick out.
All right, our next match is Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler. Teddy, how about you go first this time?
Well, I'm hoping Shayna Baszler comes out on top here.
Bill?
I think Shayna Baszler will because the rumors are going around that Ronda is going elsewhere. Not AEW.
Now, see, I said that recently, and y'all both laughed at me and said, no. But I'm telling you, I heard that a while back. Yeah, I think she's on her way out. I don't think she's on her way out at this match. I don't think this is it.
No. But I think, actually, I'm going to change it. Ronda's going to win. I can't see them having Ronda lose.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because Ronda needs to win this match if she's going to have another one later on at WrestleMania, and she needs to have a few of those wins before she loses.
And because she's Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, well, she's supposed to be one of the baddest people on the planet. So
don't mean nothing.
No, just a title. Now, speaking of one of the baddest people on the planet, this one's legit. Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes. In a gimmick match of some type, which we don't know what the gimmick match is. I don't believe, unless they've announced it today and I missed it. But Cody says he's going to embarrass Brock Lesnar. Bill?
Well, only thing I can say, it's about time.
Yeah, it needs to happen. Bill, what do you think?
Cody's going to win and it's not going to be the end of the story, but it's going to be some sort of controversial ending. It's not going to be one where Brock Lesnar is going to be left looking bad inside the ring. There's going to be some sort of stipulation that's going to be in there in this special match, whatever it's going to be. But I think Cody's going to come out victorious on this one.
What do you think he meant by he's going to embarrass Brock Lesnar?
Beating him.
Just by beating him, embarrassing?
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't that embarrass you if you just got beat 1, 2, 3? Brock Lesnar, the biggest monster in this business.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess it would embarrass me a little bit, but not if it's a champion coming along that he's having to fight with. But it's not a champion yet, is he? No, he's not champion of anything yet. Okay, all right, forget that. WWE Intercontinental Championship. Your champion Gunther versus Drew McIntyre.
I'm gonna go with Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, I am too. I don't think it's the end for Gunther, but I think it's another new beginning.
Yes.
For Drew McIntyre and possibly a rematch at WrestleMania where they might, or one of the other pay-per-views where it might switch back. But it's not going to take the edge off of Gunther. Again, it's going to be something where it's not going to be a clear victory. It's going to be an equal fight.
These two guys were involved in a match not long ago where they beat the crap out of one another.
They did.
And I expect this match to be no different. You got two guys in there who do not mind trading chops and blows. They will get tough in the ring, which is the kind of match I like. I like a physical match. I like to feel the pain that's going across in that ring. And they show you that just from the moves that they do and the power that they hit those chops with. Some of those things are just unbelievable.
Feel the pain.
Feel it. World Heavyweight Championship. Seth frickin' Rollins, the champion, versus Finn Balor for the next match on the SummerSlam card.
Seth Rollins.
Yeah, me too. I think Finn is excellent. He's a great wrestler, but I just don't see him becoming world champion.
I don't think, and like you say, I like Finn too. Great guy, man, but I just don't think he's ready yet.
No, and I think Seth is just way too over right now for that to go any other way.
Yeah.
All right, your triple threat match is the next match on the card that night, and that's the WWE Women's Championship. Asuka, the champion, versus Charlotte Flair versus Bianca Belair.
I'm going to go with Charlotte.
Really?
Yeah, really. I think she's just amazing, and the other two are really, really good, but I think Charlotte Flair is going to go up one more plateau here.
Well, I'm gonna give Bianca Belair a shot. We just never know.
I agree. And that's the great thing about wrestling. We never know what's going to happen. Even though we can sit here and talk about it all day long about what we think is going to happen, doesn't mean that's going to happen, because Vince could change it on on the moment's notice right before they go to air. You just never know. So that is the great thing about wrestling.
He'll change it in the ring.
That's it. But it will be a 5-star match.
A Dave Meltzer 5-star match. Okay. All right. Our next match is this is the big one on that night too. The tribal combat for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. That's Roman Reigns, your champion, versus Jay Uso.
Well, here's what I think is going to happen. And this is a wild prediction. I think that Roman's going to almost destroy Jay, but all of a sudden, out of the hospital, Jimmy Uso is going to come back and cause Roman to lose the title. I think it's a way out prediction.
Well, I don't know about that. That sounds good, but I was really gonna go with Jay Uso myself. I believe something's gonna happen there too, where Roman does have to put him over. But like I said, we just have to wait and see what happens there. But I tell you one thing, that's going to be one hell of a match.
Yes.
And don't forget that we have Paul Heyman out there along with Solo Sikoa.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think Solo, we may see a turn on Solo. Solo may turn against Roman Reigns.
He's been leading those looks. If you watch him in the ring the last few weeks, some of the looks he gives Roman when Roman's talking leads you to believe that he's about had enough.
But that's a tease.
That's true.
That's a tease. That's that.